Today, I'm going to be talking about the terrifying, the overwhelming, and the really confusing world that is online app dating. But I'm going to be sharing my experiences and some tips and tricks for an app called Fields. What is Fields? Fields is a dating app for kinky people like you and me. So with these apps, I've experienced a lot of honesty, a lot of transparency, and I've experienced a lot of authenticity from other people's in expressing what they need and want and are looking for. And wow, that's been a game changer. So I'm gonna go over to this profile here and share with you some of the settings that you have options to choose from. So first of all, you get to choose your gender, and they have a whole bunch of options. Like there is a list from intersex, transmasculine, two-spirit, gender fluid. You only have 2 changes that you can make to your gender. So if you choose one and you decide to change it later, then you'd only have 1 left. So I guess 3 in total. Your sexuality. There are so many types of sexuality to choose from. I personally chose heteroflexible. There was a few that I had to look up, for example, like scoliosexual, that I didn't really ever hear before. So many different options, so I feel like they really make a choice to include everyone. I've seen profiles from anywhere to just looking for threesomes or looking for a woman, to whole paragraphs of what kind of play they're into, what kind of kinks they want, or, you know, something like super, super specific that they're putting upfront and personal, so they're not wasting their time communicating with someone who's just not interested in that. You can go ahead and put desires. So for example, if you are on any of the other dating apps, you can also put interests and desires, but they come from a pre-selected list, like I like going to the beach. Here in these desires, you actually have to write in your own desires, and when you press the space bar, it creates like that desire tab. For mine, I put BDSM, kink, rope, sensation play, impact play, flogging, couples, DS, singles, but you can put anything you want in there, and that'll be listed as one of your desire tags. So that's cool. Also, when you go to put your interests, it's the same thing, but you can put other things that are less kinky, more of a you as a person, and maybe what types of hobbies. I put outdoors, weightlifting, silliness. When you go to upload your photos, you're allowed only 5 photos. And in these 5 photos, the restrictions that they put for photos that are not accepted are going to be photos that have overly sensual content, which is interesting because if you read the terms of the photos, it literally says, what does it say? Photos considered to be too sexy. Like, who's in the too sexy department, like reviewing this, like, oh no, that's way too sexy. Lingerie isn't permitted and no nudity. I have seen nudity. I wouldn't say it's like full in your face nudity. It's more like creative nudity, you know, where people can kind of scheme around those. And lingerie, I've seen a ton of profiles in lingerie. So I'm not so sure about how strict they are with their photo restrictions, but those are the guidelines. And obviously no photos with children and people who are not consenting to be in the photos. Okay, so one of my favorite features of Fields is that there's an app where you can connect your profile to another profile. And so what that does is it shows, for example, let's say it's a male-female profile connected. If the female profile comes up, it will say on that profile 2 different sexualities. It'll say, for example, 27, woman, queer, 29, man, and it will tell you how far away they are and if they have their last scene on. So this is really cool because A, consensual, you know, like everyone is knowing what's going on, and you can totally creep on the partner. Have you ever met someone like, yeah, let's hang out, me and my partner are super interested, and you meet the other part of the couple and you're like, changed my mind. You know, so now you can totally know what you're getting into beforehand if the profiles are linked. Also, if you match in this example either with the male or the female profile, a chat is automatically created, but you can add people to your chat. So say, for example, that I match with one person, a single person, and I match with another single person. I'm like, hey, we would all really get along. I can create a group chat with these other profiles, and that is really cool. So let's talk a little bit about setting up your profile. So there's different types of search settings. The maximum distance is 249 miles, not 250, 249 miles. Okay. And the age range can range from anywhere between 18, obviously, to 70 plus. I mean, I guess they were just like, that's old enough. We'll just add a plus to there. And you can look for different things. There's intersex, transhuman, gender queer, non-conforming, woman and woman couple, man and man couple, man and woman couple. There are just like infinite amount of matches. And I mean, you can choose as many as you like for all types of people that you are interested in meeting. Fantasy bunker, that's for people who I think primarily are doing the sexting and more of like fantasy talk, not really interested maybe meeting up in person because it connects you to people like all over. And then you can choose real life locations, but those are just hotspot big cities. For example, cities like Amsterdam, Berlin, Las Vegas, San Francisco, London. These types of places have that setting where you can just search the whole city and not within your mile radius. One of the most amazing features that I really like is that you are not forced to like or dislike anybody. You can just skip the profile and maybe save it for later if you're unsure or you want to reread it. When I first joined, I felt like I had so many likes, and I think maybe because I was new and they just want to love bomb people and like and get me addicted, and I think it might have worked. And now that I've been on the app a little bit longer, what happens is I only have a very limited amount of likes. So this whole skipping feature is really useful because then I can choose who I like the best in order to save my likes. When I'm out of my likes, I have to wait a period of usually 24 hours. It really does depend though. Sometimes I've had a period of 10 hours, I don't know why, before my likes are reset. There are special likes if you want to compare this to the language of other apps like super likes. It's called a ping. So it's literally like kind of like a Facebook poke from back in the day. Like, hey, I like you, look at me. There's not an option to send a message like Tinder swipe notes. And it's basically you're able to see that they pinged you. Their profile comes up in a special orange circle. And in this special orange circle, you have access to see their profile. So it jumps them to the front of the line in your matches history up above. So this ping I have, it says, X person sent you a ping. Tells me that they're 111 miles away, and this person is interested in trios, couples, submission, and casual. I'm gonna decide to reject this ping, and what this does is that I just no longer match with this person. When you match with someone and that person unmatches you, it tells you right away that this human has disconnected their account. For me, at first it caused a lot of like, ooh, a little bit of a rejection, but then I kind of started to like it. When we ask for consent for something in this world, we are opening the door to receive a no. I don't have Majestic, and I'm not going to pay for Majestic. Although I love being on the app and I love the concept and I've connected with really cool humans, the app is really shitty. I'm just gonna say it. The app itself sucks. It's really buggy. Sometimes you'll be like, oh wow, like sexting someone, this is really hot. Let's meet up, and it'll just be gone and you can't log in for a few hours or maybe a day. Sometimes you send messages and the messages don't send, like they go and you can see them in the chat, but then they disappear. And so the other person's waiting like, okay, what happened? And you're like, oh, I'm not sending messages, shit. Like, let me exit out of the app. You get to the chat and then you see like, okay, my message didn't send. I feel like there's a different type of etiquette when you're interacting with people on Fields, and it's really refreshing and it's really cool, especially someone who is kink positive, and it's part of my personal practice, it's part of my professional practice, and it's something that I all around just really, really love. I've met up for people from distinct reasons, from either a coffee date just to say, hey, what's up, chat, you're in the community, let's get together, you know? Something very casual, less physical based. I've also met up with people with the intention of having a scene or doing some play with them, and that experiences were really great. But also you have to know how to vet people and choose profiles that seem honest and, you know, transparent to you. And also that whole thing about like matching desires, it's so much easier here, I promise, because the people who are doing this practice maybe have experience, and consent is a huge, huge, huge foundation. So I just felt a lot more respected when I meet up with people in person, when I have conversation on the app or any type of interaction. I have felt truly, truly respected and with 100% consent. Anytime I felt that I did not match with someone, I felt so much more liberty to speak honestly to them. I have yet to ghost someone on field. Amy. Because when I express like, hey, thanks for sharing this with me, XYZ, but I prefer reoccurring encounters. Best of luck. Okay, great. Thanks for your honesty. Just things like that are so unusual on the other apps like Tinder or Bumble. I only had one experience where I chose to cut communication with a person, but that was so independent of their in-person behavior. And I think that has a lot to say because I've been on, I want to give you a low number and say like 300 lifetime dates or meetups with people from other dating apps. And oh God, they were all god awful, horrible. If we're talking numbers here, I would totally prefer to continue going on field and meeting these wonderful people in the community. Recently, I met a couple walking in the street, met a couple at a cafe. We began talking. They were really cool. We became friends. And I learned that they met on field and it was their second date and they had gone to another country and had traveled together for their second date. And I was like, this shit works. This app is great. Okay, well, should I do a review like likes, dislikes? What did I miss? I totally suggest that you do take advantage and use the imaginary name. Don't put your real name. Like, there's no reason to do that. When you're opening your profile, be super specific. Like, be really honest and be super specific about like what your desires is, what you're looking for, and also your experience level. I've come across profiles where it's like, wow, they look amazing and seem super fun, and you meet in person and like, oh no, like, we don't know, we've never tried this, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it's very important for the other person on the other end to know exactly what you're getting into. And so it's going to be trial and error. There's some profiles that I've seen that do not have a bio, only have one picture. I personally always stray away from those ones. And obviously always put recent good photos of you, you know? If you're going to be telling everyone like, hey, I like to get my face stepped on or let me lick your feet, I think you can put a real picture of yourself on there of how you actually look. Like, there's no reason to be catfishing people. Come on. Oh, and definitely don't be surprised if your first message is something really crazy and specific. For example, like, hey, I saw that you were into XYZ. I'm here to fulfill your kinkiest fantasies. When I first logged on and I created my profile, even though that's what I wanted and expected, actually having it happen, I was like, what is this beautiful, magical place? Overall, I've had a very positive and consensual experience on Field. I've met a lot of interesting people, and I would totally recommend it if you're looking into exploring the kinkier side of dating. In the next video, you can find some red flags and green flags for kinky dating. I hope you like it. Stay kind, be kinky. The end. Oh shit!
Yeah, no.
And I